I'm Coach Gates, head coach here at North Crowley High School, 817 as you guys know us, and I'm here rocking with Top Athlete Sports. It's an indescribable feeling, you know. It's a lot of elation. Um, you know the hard work that you put in personally and your staff put in. You know the sacrifices that it takes, and a lot of coaches are doing a lot of the same things that we're doing as far as our time, but it has to be matched by your kids. It has to be matched by your community. It has to be matched by your administration. There's so much that goes into us being able to put the type of product on the field that you see. And so 76-year drought in Fort Worth area when it comes to a state championship at the largest classification in the state of Texas doesn't happen by chance. How do you break that? You have to involve everyone. Everybody has to be a stakeholder, and that was the reason why we put 817 on our helmets, because that included not just Crowley, North Crowley, it included, this side of the Metroplex, and everybody that wanted to support a product that was going to be a reflection of what this community and what this city is about. And that's the approach that we took, and because of that, I feel like, it came full circle last year versus, Duncanville leaving in the loss. When I turned around and I looked in the stands and I saw us putting, that many people in that stadium, over 20,000 people, I knew that this city was hungry for what we had. And again, it all came together. And I couldn't have imagined it any better. Well, I think it was something that has been, we've been building for the last couple of years. And the longer you have a certain group of kids, the more experience that they gain along the way. The moments of the games don't become as big as they may seem in the moments when they have been there and they understand the gravity of those situations. Having coaches that have been in those situations and coaches that haven't, but gained that valuable experience as well. And our staff, grew over the course of those years, and we understood, the importance of those moments as well as a staff. And so I just think that, we grew up together here at North Crowley in the last 3 years, and our guys knew what it was going to take in order to get over the hump. And so a lot of that, you have to just go through it. It always is a process, and a lot of people get lost in the process because when they don't succeed, they deem it as failure. And for us, there is no such thing as failure. It's just an opportunity to learn and to grow. And that's what we've been doing. We've been learning and we've been growing from the games, the practices, the off seasons. Everything that we do is strategically designed to put our kids in the best possible situation for the most important times that we'll face in games. Well, first I'll answer the question by, the coaching staff. Huge congratulations and well-deserved to Coach Reinhardt. What he meant to this program, what he still means to this program, and what he did, shows why we were successful and show why he's in a position now to be a head coach. He's going to be very successful where he is in Hutto. They're lucky and they're fortunate to have, a guy that's about kids and that's going to put kids first. And they're going to score a lot of points in a lot of games. But we knew, that we needed a contingency plan. We needed someone to be in here that could, fill in that role whenever it happened. And so we brought in Coach Park. who was the offensive coordinator at Lucas Lovejoy, and he's been with a legendary coach in his own right, and Coach Chris Ross, who is now at Stephen F. Austin as the offensive coordinator. And so Coach Park has, all the capabilities of filling in and running this offense and doing some things that will be a little bit more unique that you probably haven't seen us do. But as we brought him in last year, he was our run game coordinator. And what most people don't realize is that he designed majority of our runs and called a lot of our run game in the games last year that we played. And so we were able to hire a quarterbacks coach that will be a passing game coordinator that will be able to bring some things to the table. So you're always looking for ways to enhance your team as many possible ways as you possibly can. And I think we have the guys here to do that. Also, Coach Harris coming in last year, taking over the defensive coordinating position, allowed me to really operate as a head coach, and he did a wonderful and masterful job with our defense and how those guys were able to respond to him and his style of coaching and what he demands from our guys every single day. He's now our recruiting coordinator, he's assistant head coach as well. And he's been a head coach, so he understands what it looks like. I can leave and walk away from this position and handle other things and not have to worry about the day-to-day operations because I have full trust in his ability to be that when needed. When it comes to the players, when you lose the type of senior class that we had, we lost a lot of experience. With those guys that played a lot of football, those guys that were with me and played on varsity as sophomores, they're leaving here 42-2. But the good thing about that is that they were leaders every single day, and the guys that will have to fill in those shoes had an opportunity to see their leadership in the way they moved and how they carried themselves. So the expectation of what practice looks like, the expectation of what off-season looks like, and all the things that go into it, our kids have seen it, and now it's their opportunity to grow up and to fill those positions. And so we're pleased with how our kids have responded. They have this chip on their shoulder because everybody is talking about those guys not being here, but these guys are super talented. These guys have been in winning programs. Even the guys coming off of JV, they were 10-0 last year. And so they're hungry, and they have a will to show, the state of Texas what this team can look like and what we'll be able to do. More so than anything, rather than things that we were going through, is more so about our focus and our approach. When you start winning and you win the games that we won early, it's easy for the team to feed into what everybody else is saying, the narrative of, what everybody else expected this team to be after we beat a Lancaster, a DeSoto, a Rockwall, a Denton Guyer. A lot of outside noise can infiltrate what you're trying to establish, but you also are trying to protect. And so I think each week we were strategic in our ways of keeping our kids grounded and not allowing them to fall into the traps of success when people are telling you how good you really are. But the reality is that you have to improve every single week. And we basically kind of told our team that we're going to go through this cocoon phase every single week, and that the team that was on film last week was an old team, an old version of ourselves, and the team that was playing this week is a team that, our opponents had never seen. And just trying to find ways of keeping their attention in the moments of right now. We even had the small, animal trap where we had, don't take the bait. Like, we weren't going to allow a trap game. We weren't going to allow our teams to be unfocused and unprepared. That is our job as coaches, to make sure that we keep them in the vein. And I thought we did a really great job of that with our team. And I think they understood it as well. And I think that's the balancing act whenever you're going through a season and you have the aspirations that we had. is how do you keep your team focused and hungry for a 16-game season, and that was probably the biggest balancing act that we had. And then I also say, secondly, from an offensive standpoint, we were really blessed with a lot of offensive skill, and there's only one football. And so one of our core values is selflessness, intentionally putting the needs of the team ahead of our own in every decision. And we had to preach that a lot because there were games when the Cornelius Warren only had 4 touches, but we had 35 points at halftime. Or Daniel Bray only had, 3 touches. Or, Quentin Gibson, may only have one touch. Whatever it may have been, guys sacrificed, for the good of the team. And that is uncommon on a team when you have such star power that we had last season. Well, this senior class has a lot of headliners. John Turntime is going to be a senior this year. He's the #1 offensive tackle in the state of Texas. He's been offered by just about everybody. His list is as long as, you can imagine. And so he is a guy that, started for us ever since a sophomore. He's a hardworking kid, unbelievable work ethic, 4.0 student. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better person to represent your program than John Turntime. And you always get your best when John's name is on the paper. And so he's a guy that will be a huge voice for us on the offensive side of the ball. Then we have a guy in Aaron Bradshaw on the defensive side of the ball who really came on to start playing his best football towards the end of the year, especially in the playoffs. Led us in interceptions. Guy is very versatile. He's recently committed to a Division I school. I won't say the name yet. I think he's releasing that here shortly. But 6'3", 185 pounds. He's also one of those kids that have been playing on varsity since a sophomore. He has a lot of that experience. He's been a part of this development and what we've built here. So we expect a lot out of him. Demore Beasley, a defensive lineman, who will be a senior this year, started for us every single game last year. A kid that can play inside, can play outside. Potential is through the roof. Very versatile, very athletic. Donovan Uganzi is another one of those vocal kids. Looks like a Greek guy. You can see every muscle in his body. Plays defensive end, 6'4", 230-pound kid. Offensively, we have, wide receiver, Aiden Whitmore, Messiah Smith, Lorenzo Cruz. We have a lot of guys that will lead this group, and they'll lead them the right way. And so, they're just ready and waiting for their opportunity, and it's here. Well, it's all about the work. You can't minimize work. In our program, I don't care if you come in your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, when we are gauging if guys are ready, the talent is always obvious. Like, is the guy talented enough to play? And so we always understand that aspect of it. I always look at #1 for me with those guys whenever the decision is made to put a kid on varsity is the physicality aspect of it. Is he physical enough to play a varsity football game? Is he seeking contact? If he's a defensive guy, if he's an offensive guy, is he physical depending on his position? As a receiver, can he block? It's easy to go out there and run routes and catch the ball and run, but for us, if you're not blocking, you can't be on the field. And so I'm always looking at the physicality aspect of it. If a kid is physically ready and he can check that box, then the next thing for me is he mentally ready? Can he operate? Does he have the capacity to digest the playbook, and then when those plays are called, to execute? And then I think probably third for us is composure. How composed is the kid? Is he easily rattled? Can we coach him? His coachability. For us, we coach hard. I mean, It's hard coming through these walls and suiting up and playing for us. We don't sugarcoat it. Mama can be here, daddy can be here, you can get it. And you gotta have thick, tough skin. But you can only do that and coach that way with our kids by having a relationship with our kids. And so I think that's all important into that as well. So those are the three things that we look for when it comes to, as a kid ready. So that first year, it's work. Is he physically ready? Is he mentally ready? And is he composed? It's a really good question. To my younger self, I would probably say to trust the process and to enjoy the moments as they present themselves. We're such a destination people that we miss out on the journey because we're so focused on where we're going. And every single day you get an opportunity to wake up, you have a purpose. And whatever that purpose is, you need to make sure that as you are doing what you need to do to accomplish that purpose, that you take time out to reflect and to fill your own cup and not be afraid to pat yourself on the back on those things, because we can get caught up in the end that we don't, like we say, take time to smell, the roses. And so you're gonna go through a lot of things, and everything that you go through is preparing you for a moment. And a lot of times you don't realize it in the moment, but don't neglect the times that seem to be the failures. Embrace them, lean into them, because at some point in time, those are gonna be the lessons that propel you to the highest heights. Man, this is life work. There are a lot of guys that coach, they're not coaches. And for me, I truly believe this is my ministry. Like, this is not about the football, the X's and O's, as much as it is about the individuals that we have an opportunity to impact every single day. These are the kids that God has placed under my care and my tutelage, and this coaching staff's care and tutelage. So I don't really get away from that, man. I just really try to hone in and lean into what God is saying in the moment. I can't tell you what in other endeavors right now that I'm seeking, because this is where my feet are, and I know that in this moment, in this time, that everything that Coach Gates needs and wants to be effective, I'm hearing yes. I don't get told a lot of no's here at North Crowley. And I think when it's time for me to transition, I think God will start closing some of those doors, and some of those yeses will start becoming no's. And things will change in such a way that I know when it's time for something different, He will reveal it to me. And so I'm not looking ahead. I'm looking to what we have in this moment. There's so much more to accomplish. The wins and the losses, the state games, all of that stuff it's validation, but the most important thing is here at 12 o'clock, those kids are gonna leave out of that high school and they're gonna enter into that field house. And then they're gonna go into that weight room and they're about to put this work in. And for a lot of those kids, it's what we do down here is the reason why they come to school. And it's the reason why they want to be around us. Not all of our kids are around, men and have positive, males in their lives. And we get an opportunity to step in those shoes and show them what it looks like. And so as long as God keeps sending kids this direction, man, I got work to do. Because just yesterday we had a shooting at Wilma Hutchins in a community that looked like ours. Like how can we as coaches, how can we as teachers, faculty, and staff, as a community, start coming together for our kids? Because what we're facing today is much different than what we were facing when we were going to school. And these kids, they're crying and they're reaching out for us, and we got to figure out a way to be able to bridge the gap of where they are and where they need to be and teach them that it's a different way. And so as long as these doors are open and the good Lord says, this is my work, we're going to step up and we're going to do the work, and everything else will take care of itself. I'm Coach Gates, head coach here at North Crowley High School, 817 as you guys know us, and I'm here rocking with Top Athlete Sports.